For anybody that follows the channel, for a little period, I wasn't really talking much about Japanese Pokemon cards. I didn't really feel like there was much to talk about. It was just going to be retreading old ground. Product was hard to get, it was getting scalped, and prices were really high. Having said all that, I feel like we're at this point now where there's a little bit to talk about. The meta is kind of shifting a little bit. We're at this paradigm trigger. We're going to start to see the prices of boxes continue to come down, but it's not a certainty for every set. We're going to stick our heads into this old website, Card Rush. Now, full disclosure, I don't think Card Rush is like the be all end all for Japanese Pokemon cards prices. The landscape is so like muddled at the moment that you can't really take anything that's listed on this site seriously anymore. And what I mean by that is sometimes the prices for cards are like, they're warped. They're part of like a market manipulation scheme, which I do think is a very real thing that happens with Japanese Pokemon cards. A couple of you mentioned this in the stream, and I have been keeping my eye on this until it was like officially announced. But yes, Clay Burst, which is easily the most popular Japanese set of the year so far, is getting a reprint. And the reprint that's coming is actually going to be made to order. Now, this is really good for anybody who missed out. Everyone's going to be able to get one because made to order means that anybody that orders it is going to be able to get one. You might not see it for like 3 to 6 months, but you're going to be able to get it. This is really good because Clay Burst booster boxes are really expensive at the moment. And the reprint news has also dropped the price of the cards. These cards, or this card in particular, right? The Iono SAR. Really nice card. Beautiful card. Fantastic card. And the artist, Stella Kurosaki, she's been doing fantastic work. This card is a banger. Is it $1,700 worth banger? No, that's crazy. But the reason why I'm so adamant about how the reprint news will impact prices is because when you go and look at the graphs and you can see what's happened, it started really hot because everyone kind of knew that this card was going to be expensive. And you can see what's happened. It launches, it's very, very expensive, all right? It started about 160,000 yen. It found its way to 200,000 yen, and then it kind of cooled off, right? The blue line is the raw price, not damaged. The orange price is damaged and the green price is PSA. But you can see it's just started to drop slowly over time. That's because this reprint's happened. Same thing goes for just the regular full art, 42,000 yen. And now it's sitting at about what, 32,000 yen? That's like right on the line for like, I get it. It's 6 times the price of a box to guarantee you get the second best card from the set. So this is a prime example as to why reprints will always hurt the price of a set and the cards inside of it. I think it's going to follow through for Scarlet and Violet. I'm unsure. I don't know if this set is going to get a thorough reprint the same way that like VSTAR Universe is getting. Clay Burst is taking a bit of a priority now with the whole made to order thing. I will say that cards like Miriam, I don't expect them to come down in value too much further from where they are now, unless there's like a big reprint. Generally, a good indicator that this is about as good as it's going to get for the set in terms of stock and supply is where like the less popular cards stand in value. When you start to see like all the cards hit what's essentially like a floor, it's usually a sign of this can't go any further down from where it is right now. The boxes for it are just about double at the moment. If you look at Mercari, I would highly advocate against buying boxes from Mercari. Well, for Violet, Scarlet may be a bit safer, but Violet is very risky. Part of the reason why I wanted to have this discussion today is because I was looking at Triplet Beat. I had a strong feeling that this was going to happen where it was going to start out really expensive, but then it was going to come crashing down. And my prediction was correct. That just comes from experience. Having seen this cycle so many times, you learn to get a read on it, and my read was correct. And now all the Triplet Beat cards are super, super cheap. Quavel's less than the price of a booster box. That's a buy. That's like an insta buy. This is an instant buy. Like even at 10,000 yen, this was a good buy. I thought anyway, and that's what I spent on it. And now it's 7,000. Am I upset that it's cheaper? No, I don't really care because I like the card. At 7,000, it's a steal. Same with the Miascarada, which I'm actually happy is cheaper because this was the one that I didn't buy because it was like 30,000 yen. Now I can come back and buy it with ease. 16K is still a bit higher for a non-waifu card. Weirin, they will drag you for that statement. What's the price of a chase Pokemon card from a Japanese set supposed to be? 2 times? 3 times? It should be $5. It should be free. They should pay me to take it. Jesus Christ. Spend some money, you tight asses. I will say this, all right? It's not a bad time to buy it. I'm going to pick up singles from this set now and maybe even pick up a couple of boxes and try and find the Dendron myself. Yeah, so while everyone was talking about this, what was actually happening was there was this little steal that was just flying under the radar. this card, which is Miraidon, and it's just an art rare, and this card, which is a Koraidon. The only way you could get this card was by competing in a tournament in Japan, what they call the sealed format, right? Where basically you open up a booster box, a triplet beat, and you make a deck out of the cards that you get in there. You play in the tournament, and the winner of the tournament received a pack that had these cards in it. That's the only way that you can get these cards. So it was expensive for a period, but it dropped. It just continued to drop. 16,000 yen. Some people caught on, and they bought it, and now it's just gone back up, and now it's not going back down. It will not go down from here. So while everybody was losing their minds about stuff like Dendra, I bought these cards. It was great. It was fantastic. But it's a perfect example of how if you get distracted by what you see on your homepage, what you see getting shoved down your throat, and you don't do any actual homework yourself, you will miss opportunities like this. Now, I want to talk a little bit, I lost the bis, because this is where the paradigm shift happened, right before Paradigm Trigger. This was the first set though where there was only like one chase card and everything else kind of didn't matter. I don't know what it was about the Giratina. I think because it is a really nice looking card. This kind of like broke everybody. And this was the beginning of the end. There was no turning back from this, right? This is the first day. It hits the market, 15,000 yen. There's a lot of sales here, a lot of volume. It settled at 58,000 yen. And we all stuck our nose up at it. I remember everybody being like, nah, ain't no way. Ain't no way. And it did nothing but just continue to climb. It got more and more expensive over time. Why did it get so expensive? I don't know. I don't understand. Because this set was printed at the Wazoo at the Pokemon Center. I picked up 5 boxes like 2 weeks after it came out. So yeah, this was the first card that set the precedent for Special Art and Special Art Vs being as expensive as they were. Because after this set came out, nothing was the same. 50,000 became the norm. When Paradigm Trigger dropped, we saw the same thing kind of happen again. So there was belief that the price that Lugia was being listed at was how it was going to be. This is it, okay? There wasn't going to be a Giratina repeat where it starts out at 15,000 yen. I distinctly remember this starting at like 60,000 yen as the buy price. Because if this card dropped at like 10,000 or 20,000 yen, we all would have bought it because we would have been sitting there saying, this is way too cheap. It's going to do exactly what Giratina did. I'm buying it now. Even if 15,000 or 20,000 yen feels expensive, I still think it's going to do what Giratina did. Therefore, I will buy it. We bought it, or some people bought it. And then what happened was it continued, it just climbed. You guys remember that video I put up in November last year? I think it got as high as 120,000 yen. And I think that was card stores trying to push and see how far they could get away with this whole thing. It dropped back down significantly. You can see it's at 47,800 yen. With Candace, it didn't work. Because Candace wasn't a playable card. And yeah, she's illustrated by Naoki Saito. But it just did not work with Candace. Candace dropped a good amount. The card stores tried to sell a story, but the customers didn't buy it. Like, I didn't buy this. I wasn't buying this for a second that this card was worth this much. It got as high as 35,000 yen. And you're not going to catch me. You're not going to catch me spending that much on a waifu card. Okay, a waifu card. Who even is Candace? No one even knows who Candace is. They don't. Now she's sitting at 11,000. She's literally in the bin. The cool thing about Paradigm Trigger, it's another example of how reprints impact the prices of singles and booster boxes. Because the same thing has happened with Paradigm Trigger. I can show you these here in my house. At retail, it's a beautiful thing, isn't it? Sitting on 2. How does that happen? Patience. A few people mentioned Incandescent Arcana. How is the Alteria now at 3,500 yen? This is an example of market manipulation. This card has no business being this much. It just doesn't. Now, for those of you who don't know what happened with this card, once upon a time, there was a store called Magi. Magi just decided that they were going to buy this card for 1,000 yen. So everybody said, wow, that's fantastic. This box costs 5,000. There's a good chance you find one of these cards from it. And then there were reports that people couldn't actually sell the card back to Magi. And then Magi decided they were going to put the price up even further. And I think it got as high as 1,500 yen. It wasn't like overnight everybody decided that they liked Alteria. It was just that overnight, Magi decided to make this card trend on Japanese Pokemon card Twitter. And ever since then, this card's been worth a lot of money. So this brings me to my favorite part of this stream today. So VSTAR Universe is the set where this whole, it's not reprinting and this is a good price narrative kind of started. When this set dropped, the price you were seeing it at was like 110 USD. There were people saying that it was like a print error, factory print error, and like a lot of it had to be recalled. And then there was people saying that that one of the waves got cancelled entirely. People saying that the reprint was not that sufficient. I mean, I always miss like actual reprints, and even I am able to get stuff. Yes, I got those for retail. And the prices of all the singles reflects that, because I think there's only like 2 or 3 cards that are really expensive. The Pikachu, which is from a God pack that you can only get, what is it, like 1 in 250 booster boxes? 30,000 yen. All right. That's an elusive card. You've also got the Irida, which is super playable though. Like super playable. Plus it's Naoki Saito. I saw Madge say before, I still need the Irida. You can get it. It's not that expensive when you consider it is a chase card. It's the second chase card from the set. So the reprint was well and truly there. These cards were like 3 times the price at one point. Now is kind of your time to buy VSTAR Universe singles. The Charizard is in the gutter. I guarantee you, if you bought all 536 of this Charizard card, you sat on them all for 3 years, you would easily triple your money. I want that clipped. I want that to be wrong. But one card that I wanted to look at in particular was the Sinnoh Friends. So this is a card that a lot of people speculated was going to be worth a lot from VSTAR Universe. Probably going to be one of the more valuable cards from the set. And it ended up being the complete opposite. It's one of the cheapest cards from the set. It started off relatively high, 15,000 yen. But I think once people saw how frequently it was popping up in boxes, the price of it dropped considerably. But this card is so cheap. And then I think any Japanese Pokemon card collector should add to their collection, just because if you're a Pokemon fan, then you're going to like this card. Our last stop on this train, and a little bit of a segue into potentially the next version of this stream, but I'm going to look at some sets from a few years ago. Dream League's a funny one. This set just used to be so free, and then all of a sudden it got really expensive around about the time when Rosa became like a huge chase card for this set. But the fact that the Lily is more expensive than the Rosa right now is insane to me. I would have never predicted that. Yeah, this is a great example of market manipulation. So there's a lot going on with Lily cards at the moment, because you cannot tell me with a straight face that this card, considering where this card was priced, like how cheap this card was. I think every Lily card is being manipulated right now because, again, I just don't think this card is worth as much as it's selling for right now, or supposedly selling for. 70 sales. Like, who is buying? Who are the bros that are buying this card? But every Lily card across the board is going up in value right now. And it's not the only card in this set. The other one is the Solgaleo and Lunala, and it's because Lily's on it. This is a great card. This was always a really great card, and it was always really, really cheap. The cool thing about this graph is that it almost goes back to the release of Dream League, where you can see that it is 900 yen. All you had to do was buy $10,000 worth of this card back in 2020. And if you did that, you could retire. Because now, for some reason, this card is like 40,000 yen plus. It has become another one of the chase cards from Dream League, which is just wild. Cards that even have like a snippet of Lily on them are going up in value right now. Because those single cards are going up in value, the booster boxes are going up in value too. And you end up in this weird situation. Now, I don't think this is going to last. I honestly, this is one of those ones where I think it's going to really cool off quite violently, and a lot of people are going to get stung. In the long run, I think May is going to be a more expensive card than Lily, just because of the history with that character, the artist, and it just being generally a nicer looking card. But this stuff is unpredictable. If I'm going to give out any definitive investing advice in this stream today, it's going to be, don't buy this card. Just don't buy that. There are so many other cool cards you could buy for 100,000 yen that are not this. So that's where I think things are kind of at the moment. Japanese Pokemon cards are a constantly shifting target, and they're impossible to truly predict. But I think the moral of the story is reprints, they do happen. And when they do happen, the price of everything, singles and the boxes, come down as well. And if you do your research and you're actively looking at trends and trying to predict things, you can get an idea of what's happening. If you've just jumped into collecting Japanese Pokemon cards, it's not all doom and gloom. There are still some bargains out there. If you liked this episode, I am going to do another live stream here at YouTube covering some older sets, so make sure to tune to that. Till next time, you can catch me at Discord, Twitter. Make sure to like and subscribe. Peace out, everybody.